Good evening. Welcome to this evening's edition of the Evening Review Show. My name is Jemima Bierkus, your host for this edition. We are speaking to in-situ mining experts Dr. Alexander Boytsov and Kirill Egorov-Kirillov. They will be talking about how their mining method differs from conventional open pit and underground mining methods, and how uranium can be successfully extracted from the Stampriet basin using in-situ mining. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you for your invitation.
Now, let me start with you, Dr. Alexander. Kindly explain to us how in-situ mining works, and there are concerns that it may contaminate groundwater resources in the proposed mining area. And what are your response to this?
First of all, I would like to mention that in-situ leach mining, or we also know it as in-situ recovery method, is the main mining method for uranium production globally. It contributes 60% from the global uranium production. Most of it comes from Kazakhstan, about 50%, another 10% from Australia, Uzbekistan, Russia, and maybe some other small countries. So it's known for more than 40 or 50 years, and since time it was significantly developed, and now with most safe method. What's it consist of? It's no contact with the mineralization comparing to the conventional mining, because it's done through wells which are drilled from the surface to the horizon strata, which contains uranium mineralization. From injection wells, you introduced leaching solutions. It could be alkaline or very weak acid. It dissolves uranium mineralization, and from other well, so-called recovery well, you recover solutions which are enriched with uranium, and after it goes for processing. It's a rather safe method because no disturbance to the surface, absolutely. It's nothing. You can see all these parts of wells. No waste dumps, no tailing dumps compared to the those methods, open pit methods for uranium, which you apply in Namibia for Rosing mine, for Husuk mine. In them times, it's very safe method. And you see, the methods itself is very detailed and very strictly controlled through the monitoring wells which surround this injection and recovery that's well filled. It's monitored in terms of the kind of seepage could occur to the out of the mining area. But our practice, our tens of years practice show, and modeling and simulation practice show that the distance of potential seepage from the well field, from the mine, can be maximum 100 meters. So it's very local process. And the speed of the flow is very slow there. Only about 1 meter per year, 1 to 2 meters per year. That means that it's very local process and almost no impact, even potential impact on the adjacent aquifer is very low.
Okay. Kirill, let me start with you. You can also respond to this question. You've just said that it's the safest method of mining. Yes. However, Namibia's Agriculture Minister, Kale Slatwine, has stopped this mining process, and there's been concerns. In fact, it has been alleged that underground water has already been polluted. So can you please respond to this, and what does that mean? How is this going to implicate the mining operation at this point?
First of all, I wish to say that it's not mining. Now we just exploration stage.
Exploration.
Yeah,
yes.
It's exploration stage, and we have valid EPLs, and we have valid ECC, environmental clearance certificates, for all our activities. And we have some issues with Ministry of Agriculture, because we need to receive permission from them about monitoring boreholes, because monitoring boreholes, it looks like water boreholes. But now we have all valid documents, and we will start our activity in nearest future.
And what do you have to say about the complaints that that underground water has already been polluted?
Very good point.
Yes.
Very good point. Through our baseline hydrogeological studies, we used best practice and water sampling before we start mining. Within our mineralization and also adjacent farmers' wells. And we have identified that some wells are initially, they are contaminated have elevated concentrations of some components, maybe even some radionuclides. Not too much of them, but even we understand that some are contaminated, and we explain it to the community. We made special tests in well-known certified laboratories in Europe, in Germany, and we exchanged this with information with farmers and with community to understand that some areas which are close to our mineralization are not cannot be used for as potable as for drinking water supply.
So some farmers are still not impressed with what is happening right now. So are you still in the process of engaging them, or is this then being concluded already?
It's a dialogue. It's a dialogue, of course. We try to explain them. I would say this method is not known for Namibia, of course. That's why we understand their concern. They understand their concern that potential impact of aquifer, which they use for agriculture use. But we're trying to explain them also that the process is very local, with almost no impact, with not almost 100%, there will be no impact on the wells which are remote from our area, because it's very local process.
Okay, so let's move on. You talked about your vast experience in mining earlier, and Headsprings Investments has conducted or has claimed in the past that it has conducted that you conduct similar mining activities in Kazakhstan. So how is this going to be different to how is Namibia's operation going to be different to that of Kazakhstan?
Very similar operations to Kazakhstan. I also have experience of operation management, in-situ also projects in other countries. In the United States, we had in Australia and in Russia. All of them are pretty much similar in terms of the technologies we apply for this. The only aspect, again, that we don't need in other countries, we have another sources for water supply which are located above the mineralization. Not in this time, but again, one of our mines in Kazakhstan, they use in Kazakhstan use these wells, water supply from the same aquifer where they mine uranium, very close, 700 meters, and they quarterly monitoring it for all kinds of components, chemical composition, TDS, dissolved solids, radionuclides, and never the concentrations that were above their limits, never.
Your innocence is engaging. You can try to hide what's meant for me. If I were you, I wouldn't try.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toyvon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact agenda@synergy.com.na. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
Talk brings you community news that lies at the heart of Vinduk residents. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact wetalk@synergy.com.na. You live, we talk. NMH at 1 brings you news from all across Namibia. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact nmh1@synergy.com.na. NMH at 1, your lunchtime news companion.
Okay. Now, as head of mining, Kirill, there's also the concern that because this area that is going to be that is now explored at this point and that will be mined in the near future is predominantly occupied by farmers, and there's a concern that they would have to move. Is there a likelihood that they would have to move? Is there a likelihood that the project would expand to such a point that they would have to be relocated?
As you know, according to Namibian law, before we start any activities or exploration activities or mining activity, we should to sign a compensation agreement with farm owners, and we do it with each farmers. And it's just one issue from our procedure for our activities. We are ready for these dialogues, and we will receive any improvements that this method absolutely safety. After that, we will start our dialogue with the farmers. And for example, we now need a huge area for the mining. According to our estimation, it can be 5-10% of the farm, for example. And we're ready, for example, to rent this area for some times, or we're ready, for example, to discuss it with farmers how we can live together and work together. And it will be like win-win situation. We're absolutely sure about it.
Okay.
Sorry, may I add?
No, of course,
it's
please.
a world-known practice which we actually apply in United States. We had in-situ lymph mines. We have agreements with farmers. We rent their land, go with our activities, then rehabilitate it and give them back. It's a well-known practice. It's no reason for resettlement.
Okay. And then lastly, what measures do you have in place to ensure that there would be no contamination? Like you said earlier, you've mentioned, you've spoken at length about this, but obviously for the future, how to mitigate, obviously, because there will be
Yes.
some contamination, whether we like
No,
it or
no,
not.
there will not be even contamination. If we'll introduce low pH solutions or so-called weak acid, and the concentration of these solutions, to understand you, only maybe less than 5 grams per liter, per 1 liter of water. It's very weak concentration. And the only one component that can be we should control on the main component is this pH or acid concentration, so-called sulfate ion, which we monitor through wells. And we have many options how to just either natural attenuation occur, natural restoration of aquifer within a couple of years, up to 10 years.
And can you restore that?
But if we want to speed up, we can do it also. We have certain measurements, certain technologies, how to speed up the cleaning rehabilitation.
You're talking about natural restoration.
Sorry, yes.
Can it be restored 100%? Which I don't
Of course,
think it can
of
be.
course, 100% of that is restored.
And you have done this where exactly?
We turned it within Kazakhstan. The main uranium producer, #1, which produced 50% of global production. It's natural rotation, monitored and simulated, and we control how the orioles, the halos of these potentially harmful components, they reduce in time. They reduce in time. We make measurements, and in 5 years, maybe 50% of these disseminate because they precipitate underground due to reaction with natural environment. And don't forget that we remove uranium, which is a source for radionuclides which occur in aquifer.
Now, what alternatives do you have in place? Alternative measures do you have in place? Because obviously you won't be able to rehabilitate to restore this mining areas once you are done to its former glory. So, what alternative compensation measures do you have in place, or are you considering for the farmers in the area? Because them and the next generation need to be there after them many more years.
It's a subject for negotiations with depending on the specific farmer, specific area. We should, of course, we are open for these negotiations with all community and with farmers, and we do it now.
You are doing it right now.
Right now, we're starting right now because we are drilling there. We're negotiating with farmers, and we are just understand each other and we listen to each other. That's very good.
Yes, but many farmers are very opposed to this issue, Kirill. So are you working with local mediators to help you with this dialogue? How exactly are you getting along with this dialogue? Because there's a lot of opposition to this mining at this moment.
You should understand, we have just 8 EPLs. Approximately in this area, about 200 farmers. And we drilled maybe on 20, 30 farmers. And we know these farmers personally, because as I told you before, we signed with all farmers a compensation agreement. But in whole Stampriet basin, it's real huge. And it's, I don't know, maybe it's 1,000 farmers in this territory. And of course, some of them didn't know nothing about us, and they have some concerns. And why? Because we're making some roadshow, we present our project, we communicate with all peoples, with all parties, I don't know how to say, with everybody, because we are ready to, it's just a part of our work. We want to explain to everybody about us. But one more time, you should understand, Stampriet basin is huge, but our license area, exploration license, much more smaller. But mining area, if it will be, all result will be positive, very, very small in this area. It's, I don't know, it's like, I don't know how to say, like the small bottle in the whole this room. Yeah, it's very small area. You should, and we discuss and we're trying to explain it to everybody.
Yes.
Yes, and impact from this bottle to the whole room is 10 meters or so. Potential seepage from the ore body. And Stampriet basin is so big. That's why we understand the concern or farmers' concern and try to explain them.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining me, gentlemen.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Okay. And thank you very much you for joining us. Please join us again tomorrow evening. Good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.